Microphone is on. Okay, thank you everyone for being here today for our April AMCMS PTO meeting. Do I have someone who would like to make a motion to approve this? Oh yeah, who would like to be secretary today and take the minutes?
I will.
Thank you, Tracy.
I've never done it. I'm just telling you, I've never done it. But I'll do a good job. What time?
She had a conflict with her family issue with her dad. Okay. Back to our approval of the minutes. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the March PTO meeting minutes?
Oh, I'll make a motion.
Mary and Allison. Okay.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we have approved minutes and on to Mr. Mayor.
Want everyone watching online to be able to watch as well. So let me change my screen really quickly. And, okay. So it's kind of freaky for what they just saw. All right. So I didn't prepare a tremendous amount for today. Just a couple of things, and I really wanted to get some thoughts and feedback on part for the food bank for the competition piece on just what images. So there's where we sit as of I don't know 10 o'clock last night whenever I was putting all this together. So we've been maintaining pretty steady at that same number. We haven't really dropped and haven't really increased much, and so not a whole lot of excitement to change there for us. Dates to know, and these are the dates that we have coming up, primarily focused around, we have our academic meet on the 23rd. We have the PTO food drive the last week of April, and then all of our star dates are listed out, and of course I'll be sending this out, and it's already on the campus calendar that's on the website, so I need to change this along with everyone else. So there are those dates, and like I said, I'll certainly be sending those out here after this meeting is over. One of the things I wanted to share and get some feedback is whenever we talked about the food drive and the competition piece of having more of a digital presence. And so I haven't had a chance to talk with the two ladies, I replied to your email last night, Mary, I'm sorry. But about the pieces I was putting together, wanted to get some feedback of, things were okay, if they were looking appropriate. So this one, and then I have this one here. Tried to pull, the different components in from the movie or the books. And then I thought I'd have a little fun. So there was a suggestion that maybe I should dress up as someone, and this is who I should dress up as. So I think we'll have to see what we can figure out. And I definitely have to work on the blue hair and the over flamboyance part, but who knows? It could be possible. So, and here's another one, because part of what we talked about is every day being able to send it out to the kids to say, this is how much we've raised, here's where we are. I'm working on the audio component so that, just like in the movie, they have the cannon blast, and then we can announce who, not the fallen, but who the victors for the day are. We're not going to talk about the fallen. So, and then you can't talk about any of this without, bringing her into the favor, because Effie is just so entertaining. And if someone wants to dress up as Effie, I think that would be great. Yeah, we could dress up and have Effie. I think the kids would really enjoy that. So any thoughts or anything related to that as far as they looking okay? You want me to try anything else put out there? Everyone good with that so far? Cool. I wanted to share with the student grants that we received in. Apparently I'm the only committee member that's here, so I was going to ask them to share up, but that's okay. It was really awesome, the things that we received in and the conversations, the proposals from the kids and what they would like to see happen. And so Peter Ramirez, he has muscular dystrophy, and so he was writing the grant to help cover the cost of buying the participants just water bottles and the bananas from their fun run. And they're donating all the money into MDA. And this year's the first year of not having the telethon for MDA nationwide. They went away from that because the Ice Bucket Challenge was so successful and raised so much money. I guess they're trying to keep a more updated model. I don't know. So he was really taking it on. And whenever I spoke with his mom later, because she was my coworker last year across the street, she said the fun run raised over $5,000. And then they had a couple of people call up and ask how much is it to send a kid to camp. And so then they, sent money for that too. So it was really cool. And it was good to see him explain that out for what he would like to do with the money and keep having that bigger reach. School composting, we have a couple of children that would like to see us make better use of our cafeteria waste. And so we had good discussion as a committee over how this could happen. And I think there's some real possibilities that could happen there. It's mainly working out the logistics. We talked about making composting containers out of recycled pallets, so what I did with the grants, either, if they wrote it to the point that it was good and we could go with it, we want to go with it. If it's to the point where we had some ideas and some suggestions, then I called them in my office, sat them down, talked with them, and gave them those ideas and suggestions and kind of next steps and people to possibly talk with. And so they were excited about that. And we're going to also look working with the 7th grade science teachers because they're the ones that do the gardening piece. And so I think there's some real possibility with what we could do with the composting. Faculty lounge renovation, that letter was so hilarious because they're like, the faculty lounge looks nothing like the lounges we see on TV. And so we're like, what TV shows are you watching? Y'all need to have things like a radio to play classical music. So it's great. I think, everyone sits around listening to classical music and, need to have all these couches and lazy boys and this and that. And so they were very scattered with things. And so I brought them in and gave them some directional pieces, and they're supposed to get back with me to see, give it a little bit more focus. But it's very good. They're all very selfless. The Happiness Squad is what they're calling themselves. So it's a group of 10 or 12 girls that they started 2 days ago, I think. They went around and put some Post-its. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they've been writing on those Post-its for a while. That's a lot of Post-its. But they wanted to help spread some happiness throughout AMCMS, and they just asked for Post-it notes and markers. I mean, very basic, very simple. We have a student that wants to get bathroom hair dryers into our bathrooms. And the way he would like to do that is through having 3-on-3 basketball tournaments. And so he and I had really good conversation about that because cost, he didn't really fully understand how much cost we're talking about, but I like the concept that he brought in with wanting to have a school-wide tournament with the idea of raising money for a common goal. And so he is, I gave him some contacts within the district for him to talk about, because obviously as a district we have to use certain vendors. And but I'm trying to, with projects like that or pieces like that, I'm trying to make it like we would do with the PBL, where I'm pointing them to the resources and trying to help them, guide them, but I want them to take that initiative, because for me, that's the important piece, is to learn how to communicate out what you're wanting to do. But for bathroom hand dryers, I think we calculated out we'd have to have 24 across the room. And so, we did the math, and he was thinking they're only $300. And so we'd have 3 teams, and they just pay $5 to play for a team. And so we did the math, and he was like, yeah, we need a lot more money. So, we do. We need a lot more money, but it's good. I like his thinking. Had a student propose for microwaves for students in the classroom. In the cafeteria. And we had a good discussion around that. But there are some rules that we have to play with the federal rules. And there's very valid concerns about the parents saying, my kid puts things in for 3 minutes that are only supposed to be 30 seconds at home all the time. I kind of worry about a fire breaking out in the cafeteria. So we had, I called in the student and talked with her about it, and she said she just put it out there. She was even happy that we even discussed it and entertained it. But she was also the same student that put out to have a welcoming group in a safe places kind of spot within AMCMS. And so we talked about that, and I put her in contact with the faculty members that were involved in this to help kind of make those safe places throughout the campus. And we'll put like a little symbol around the door. And basically her reasoning behind that was She came here new in October, didn't know anyone, it took her a long time to feel like she was part of the school and part of the culture and part of what's going on, and really wanted to make other students feel more welcome sooner. And so I was really impressed with that. And so the teachers involved with that were very excited. And in fact, they talked the very next day. And there's no money involved in that. It's just how can I do this kind of thing? Kids want to add additions to the school announcements, so we're going to set up a procedure for them to be able to put into the school announcement system so that we're more student voice oriented. And then we had one student submit a submission late, but I told him to go ahead and send it to me anyways. But he wants to start a reading initiative in Venezuela. The problem is he wants like $4,000. And so he and I talked once, and I told him I want to talk with some folks and kind of point him maybe to some people he can talk with. I told him, I said, $4,000 to PTO, that's a lot of money to say that we could fund that, but we can maybe find some resources and some people that you can talk with and maybe get you some ideas going. But I love, the whole concept of all this was, how can you make an impact that's greater than you? And every one of these, they were very selfless, every one of them. And that's what was awesome. So one last public service announcement I have, in case you don't know, it is, and I totally did not have those up. Yeah, I did. It is copperhead season, and you can't really see it, but that is my dog. And so, yeah, she's not happy right now. She stepped on a copperhead, and the copperhead bit back. So I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that. And actually, this is the third time she's had a copperhead issue. She hasn't learned, but I would just tell you that, hang on, let me stop the screen sharing. That Benadryl and rest is the biggest thing, but just be aware because they're out and they're all over the place. We get to deal with that a lot. So that's what I have right now. What questions do y'all have for me?
Jeff, is your staff meeting next week?
Yes, it's on, I guess, Wednesday. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Yep.
I was talking to Brian, and he informed me that there were going to be some improvements made to the roads surrounding the schools with some of the drainage.
To the roads?
Right. Do you know anything about that? Just around the schools, that was part of the bond package. I was going to send an email, and I don't want to stir the pot, but it was raining a couple days ago, and I saw kids, the ditches along the side of, that runs along back to school, the side by the track. There's
Yeah.
no sidewalks, there's no
Right.
cuts, there's ditches, there's people that can't, they try to pull over, but they can't pull over, so they park in the middle of the street. It's just a mess. And
Right.
I found out recently, and I'm sure everybody knows this, but it was news to me, that college students use that parking lot. I was selling property, and we're trying to figure out what the closest A&M bus stop was. And she said, oh, well, everybody parks at the school and catches that bus stop. And I was like, because I come through that intersection, and at the end of the day, between the college students and the shuttle bus, there's kids that cross diagonally. I don't understand why we don't have a crossing guard at that intersection, but we have one at Holloman, which is stoplight. And I just didn't know what we could do to get a crossing guard at that intersection. So college students are going to use that one.
But I think there's a sign out at that bus stop that says it's closing in August.
All I know is that intersection, I have to do it 4 days a week, and it's serious. Yeah,
Right.
There's no crossing guard, but there's a crossing guard at Holloman, and there's a stoplight there. So I asked Brad, and he said he thought it was part of the bond package, and so I haven't sent an email. I took a bunch of pictures of all the ditches and the kids crossing and running between cars. And like I said, I don't want to cause any problems, but it's just insane around there.
You're talking about part of the city's bond or part of the
He thought it's
district?
by the school bond. It's that
Don't think so. I can find out because that's more in the department of the city.
Nancy Berry said at the last Education Foundation meeting that, as part of one of the city's things that they want to do, she said curbs and gutters, that was on Anna, that wasn't Park Place.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's the
Well,
same
Brad
sort
said
of
it's
issue.
one of the last
but-
meetings, because I had said I was going to send this email out.
But I don't
They're doing something,
think-
but their cars parked, there's no place to park.
Yeah, you-
Because
no,
there's
you're
ditches,
exactly
they
right.
park in the
Yes.
street, and then one car can get through, then buses get
Well,
stuck.
that's the same way down here on Mullet.
It's all,
by the tennis
that whole
courts.
back
Right.
area.
Oh, yeah.
I come down Anderson and then turn, and that intersection at Anderson, I cannot believe we don't have a crossing guard, and we have one, there's one at Holloman where there's a stoplight. Kids dart cross, you've got college students on bike, on walking, trying to get to the parking lot where they catch the shuttle bus, and that's great if that shuttle bus is closing. But I just didn't know why we allowed college students to park in the parking lot and cause extra congestion. Anyway, that's, I just wanted to bring that up. And
Sure.
Brad had said he thought the city here, someone was doing something about it, but
Sure, I can talk with, John Hall is our district person that coordinates with the city over things, especially with the crossing guards. He's our district safety officer.
it's
And
just
I can
every
talk
day I
about that.
think, I can't believe someone hasn't been hit you.
Right,
That drives me nuts.
okay, yeah.
That's just
not a
my
problem.
concern.
Yeah, the bus stop is supposed to.
We can get our lawn.
We can get our lawn back.
Well, they haven't really thought through the traffic that's gonna be there for College View next year either, right?
It's supposed to come off of George Bush. Clark
Yeah.
said it was not going to be on Hollick at all.
Yeah, they shouldn't be. I mean, the flow of it, the bigger concern will be how close it is with the Oakwood piece. And I don't know how much that drive that shoots out will be utilized versus the Bush access. That I don't know.
Well, nobody follows the rules on Hollick Street
Oh, I know.
dropping off in the morning
Yeah.
anyway, so.
Right.
In the parking lot anymore.
Yeah.
They're starting to stack up in the parking lot and not actually park.
Yes,
They're just.
Oh, in the afternoons?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they block people.
And then they block people that want to get out.
Who are ready to leave.
Yeah. Never mind.
Well, I mean, the only thing to do is you call the police. That's what we've done at College Hills. And now the police officer sits in our, parking lot and catches people turning left into the, they don't even know they're caught until they're halfway down the carpool line. And then they're getting a ticket. But you could ticket them for, when there's no parking on, this side of Hollick right here. I mean, if there was a motorcycle officer, I mean, he could.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Mann? Okay, Allison, treasurer's report. Did everybody pick up the financials that were next to the agenda?
It is, there were 4 deposits. There's a few trickle-ins of teacher appreciation, cats helping cats. And then there was some money in the vault that Linnell gave me that we don't know if it came from that day or not, but $29. So, yes. And then the 2 disbursements, we reimbursed Paula for some teacher appreciation. And then hopefully this will be our last $3 fee. Emery's still working on that. 113.91. Out of that though, you should know, like next month, we just paid for 20 iPads, which was $5,080. So really, it's more like 33 that we have as of today.
Any questions for Allison? We are going to cover the budget a little bit later on in the agenda. Okay, let's move on to committee reports. Asha, thank you so much to you and Heather.
Book fair was last week, and I thank everyone in here that was able to help us out. This scarce resource with manpower, but we made it through. I mean, we really only need one person there at a time, but when you only have one person, if someone's running late or it's gonna sleep early, just makes it a little bit harder. But anyway, thanks for everybody that was able to help us out. Okay, so spring book fair is usually a much smaller book fair in the fall. We typically, the last 2 years, we've made about $2,400 to $2,500 in gross sales. And because it's our second book fair, we, at least this year, we're able to receive 40% in scholastic dollars. So we got $669 for the library to spend. And after talking to the librarian, she took about $300 of that automatically $600, my understanding, based on my conversation with her, that's all the money that she has left to spend for the rest of the year on library. They're out of funds. So I feel like, I mean, everything is kind of relative. I mean, some people may look at $669 and think that's a lot of money, but you're coming from schools where we make thousands and thousands of dollars on book fair. It seems a little like there's probably a more efficient way for us to be making money. If you think about, you know, having one person here for every hour that we have book fair open, Heather and I opening and closing and counting the money, and, you know, this little thing is making flyers and getting tickets and stuff like that. You can certainly say we spend 50 hours, 50 manpower hours on it. That comes out to about $13 an hour. And I just think that I'm open to open for suggestions on what we can do to, I mean, the library desperately needs money. Maybe desperate's too strong a word, but the library needs money, so we can't get rid of book fair unless we figure out some way to replace that money. But we are open to figuring out a more efficient way, less timely way for us to make some money for the library.
The library ever published like a book list, book wish list? I have a daughter who reads a lot of books, and I can donate books back. I think a lot of our kids read a lot of books. She had a list of what kind of books she wanted. We could always
Well,
say,
and this is one of the problems of having a smaller and smaller book fair is this book fair, we even got fewer books, and the assortment was not as new as what we see when we were able to get more books. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle. We make less money, so we get fewer books to choose from, and so we end up making less money. So, and I know Mrs. Bishop, the librarian, had asked why we did not get as many books, and Scholastic just wrote back and said, you know, it's based on what your previous sales are, and, you know, our sales have been declining over the years, and so that means we're going to get fewer choices. And it also meant that she had fewer books to choose from because they sent a lot fewer hardback books, which is what she buys. She didn't get to choose as many books that she wanted.
They do book fair flyers for that age?
Excuse me?
Do they do book fair flyers for that age, for this age group, middle school? You know,
They
what
do,
you get
yeah.
on
They
the
have one
They
for
do.
the little one.
Yeah, they do. And this year, for some reason, they were short.
Yeah, my daughter never even
other than your emailing on here, I'm the money.
we didn't even get one last year.
Well, I know it was in the PTO newsletter, and I know that Heather and I put together information for the announcements daily in the classrooms.
It seems like a big hurdle is we don't have books in the book fair for our kids to want to go to the book fair to read them.
But if you get a book fair ad, and there's books in that ad that your book fair does not have, then you can order those books. Like, you can get them to your book fair, even though you may not have them in your book fair there.
Right.
So if that was
right.
somehow advertised, I'm just throwing it out there, like,
Yeah,
I know kids at elementary level bring in that flyer to our book fair all the time. They're like, we want to know where this one book is,
right.
you know, so I don't know at this age, it's much more challenging.
Well, and as, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a librarian, so I'm kind of dependent on the librarian to tell me what books, you know, or what books need to be in the library. I do know this, that on the Friday before book fair opens, the week before, you know, that's typically teacher preview day, and they have a schedule where they sign, you know, teachers sign up to come in. I wasn't personally there, so I didn't see anything, but the assistant, the librarian's assistant said that only 2 teachers came through. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just hearing that from her. But
There wasn't very many adult books.
no, they did not.
There's just a preview for their
Census and that kind of stuff, they didn't send any of that.
They didn't send any of that. They didn't send any cookbooks. They didn't send anything that you could buy for Mother's Day or no, they didn't send anything like that.
I mean, can you tie it in, I think we talked maybe before too, but can you tie it into when the night I know that you talked about tying it into, whatever, front meet the teacher, or whatever we call it here. I mean, I don't ever bring my kids to that, it's just parents walking around and see all their, meet all their teachers and fun. But tying it into when the sixth graders come over, the same way they do over there, wherever I am, at Oakwood, where when the fourth graders come in, they kind of do it like a little night thing, having book fair that week where it's open. And like real, as obnoxious as it would be for you guys, but real decorated on the outside to sort of draw your eye and attention in. I mean, that's back to the little bit of the element are more drawn when they see stuff. Don't mean to even put that off on you because I do it. It's so much work.
But I think too, when they do that orientation thing, I think that's the cafeteria, this is.
Well, you should be able to go that night. Kids should be able to walk around the school.
The sixth graders, do they come over?
No, like the
No,
night.
We don't like bringing the kids over, but, you know, we have the parent meeting and they come into
Or
that.
they have the gym.
Yeah, they come in that aspect.
But you could do a thing where kids could tour
We could.
around that night
Yeah.
and have the book fair open
We could.
and draw that.
Something else that we talked about, a couple of, okay, just to put it in context, I'm a part, you know, as College Station ISD, we're part of the Texas Schools Consortium, okay? So we are involved in visioning work about what it should do in the state of Texas. And so I'm a part of a principals cohort and institute that's what we do, is we talk about that piece as principals and bring that back to our campuses. And so being new to AMCMS, certainly didn't want to start out that conversation this year. But I just started the conversation with the campus coming back from spring break. And so I had about 25, 28 teachers show up and we had some really good conversation. And one of the pieces that came out about what could we do that we're not doing to get more folks into the school is to have what's called a spring showcase. Because kids get a new semester schedule, they get new semester teachers for electives, and as a parent, you don't really have that opportunity to come in and meet those teachers. And so instead of it being like an open house, it's more like a showcase. For teachers, they can be, you know, let's do this big project thing to be able to show your parents. But then also it gives you, so it would be less structured. It wouldn't be that every 8 minutes a bell rings and go over here. It would be more of that come and go kind of thing. And so we could put, you know, schedule book fair more in with something like that, where they're invigorated in there.
I mean, that's where you get the money. When we get our book fair, we make more, you know, the Grandparents' Day or we're doing like an author showcase at the elementary level. We make more in that one day than we make the entire week. I mean, it's insane what parents and whatever will shut
Yeah,
off.
you gotta get them in.
But kids, you know, it's not as big a deal for them at this age.
Correct.
So,
Well, and just at Oakwood, when you have it, I think it's Fall Fest night, I mean,
yes.
the first year that I did it there, I mean, it was packed the entire time, and the lines were out the door. I mean, we made 1/3 of our money, or, you know, over 1/3 of the money from just that one, 2 hour time.
So maybe that's your solution. You do something like what you're doing. You do the one book fair, right? Then you talk about just maybe going to one.
Well, I don't want to go to one, but I mean, if this is, it takes a whole week to make $669.
Right.
And, you know, the other thing too is, I mean, in elementary school, book fairs is really fun, magical experience. And in middle school, it's really, you just see the same kids coming in, you know, coming into it or whatever. And I'm not saying it's not fun, I'm just saying it's not magical.
Sure.
So maybe one book fair is enough, you know. I mean, the benefit of having more than one though is you get to keep a larger percentage.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the percentage for one. I think it's 25%.
Also remind everyone, what did we net in the fall?
I don't have the net number, but in the fall, we did $4,473 in gross sales. But that included $800 in purchase orders, from the library, so we did, roughly $3,600, which was, about $1,000 less than the year but then that's pretty close to what we had the 3 years prior to that. So it's just a big change when you come from Oakwood.
Right.
Yeah.
The height is not, we discussed that before, by the time they get to 7th and 8th grade, it's just not about that anymore.
Right.
And I don't,
These kids have other stuff, you know, on the
Right.
mind.
Yeah. By the night, get everybody up here. We have to do one.
Electronics and books. Everything's, you know, you can get a book on electronic all day long, you know, so. But I have, you know, bookshelves and bookshelves and bookshelves in their room, they have it all on notepad, you know, and they're more electronic, but I actually make, my daughter go to the library, you have to at least pick one book. You know, it's, you know, even though you're getting a little bit older, I think it's really good to take their electronics away and just make them, you know, you have to read a book.
Natasha, I'm wondering, sorry, I'm wondering if we could reach more parents through maybe an online book fair. Send it out with maybe check could send out a class with parents. I know there is a possibility that you can have the online thing, but I know we've had success in the past with the online, and I'm thinking maybe if we market that more, you know, try to structure it around holidays or before holidays, try to reach more parents that way.
do the English teachers show, so every book fair should have that video like about a featured book, there's usually more than one, that English teachers should be able to show. Our librarian at South Valley shows that video, but teachers should have access and could do that also, which would help promote A, the book fair, and B, oh, here's a cool book, you know, that might keep some interest on that. I mean, and almost always the book that's in that is always sold out. I mean, she's making orders from multiples. Just another thought. I'm assuming they have all of that at this level as well.
Maybe we could bring back teachers' wish list. I know it's a big thing in elementary school book fairs, but I don't know at middle school. I'm thinking if parents were to receive information about teachers' wish lists, I'm pretty sure.
I was gonna say, it's just completely sort of off the subject, but I know as, a leader of like a Girl Scout troop, like Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts are always looking for service type projects. If the librarian had a wish list that was more publicized or somehow it was publicized, I mean, even if it's just us going to our children and saying, you know, the library does really need more books, you might get audacious, kids to take on projects. I've seen them at the elementary school level where they, would say, oh, we'll collect a bunch of books, or which books do you need, and we need to do a project anyway, so why not take it on and give them what they need, you know?
Great ideas, everyone. We will keep planning. So stay tuned. Mary and Laura, fill us in about the food drive.
We have been busy working behind the scenes and getting donations and things like that. We're working on the signs and things that we'll have. I've made some signs that we'll put up around, probably starting like the week before. But I need to do something like, I tied them in with like, I took quotes from the movie and then tied it in with the food drive thing, like here's some advice, bring money to the food drive, Hamish, things like that. We Are the Rebellion Against Hunger, donate today. So we've got a bunch of those and to hang in the hallways, to put in the cafeteria. We're gonna get some streamers and things to do to plan like catching fire thing. I think to tie on some of the poles and the trees and things like that for ignite the fight against hunger. What else?
Well, okay, the food drive is not this coming week, it's the next week, so it's April 25th through the 29th, and we're gonna do the Hunger Games theme again, of course, I mean, that's what we've been talking about, and Mr. Mann pulled some students, and that's what they wanted to do, so we're gonna go with that. So it's gonna work similar to how it's worked in the last couple of years, except, we're gonna add a fifth district, I think he said was okay, with the teachers and staff this year to try to go in between the kids and the teachers and just see how that goes. So like previous years, every day, there'll be tributes drawn from the people who donate, and they'll all get a prize, and they'll be in the social media for that day that we're gonna do. And then we also have every morning at drop off, there'll be something going on. The things that we've confirmed so far on Monday, Kaboom from the Bombers is gonna come out and just be shaking hands. I don't know if they're bringing promotional stuff or what all they're doing, but they have said they will send Kaboom. On Tuesday, Shipley's has donated 8 dozen donuts, and so we'll have those. We're not reselling them. They're for a donation of $5. You can have a donut. Yes, on Wednesday, Chicken Express is going to be here at lunch doing their smoothies like they did at Cat Slam. And so a donation of, I think we're going to go with $10 on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday gets you a coupon to get a smoothie at lunch on Wednesday. And then on Friday, we're going to do a hat and shorts day, and for $5 for each, and that money raised there will go to the food drive. We're still waiting to hear back from some other people that could be some really cool possibilities, but we'll keep everybody posted on that. And then I think Laura's doing a great job with all the decorations and all of that. I think that'll probably go up next week in the school, and you'll start seeing some social media stuff coming out.
I was gonna say, if you just wanna take a picture of those and send them to me, or the statements, I can do more meeting stuff and have consistent statements.
Yeah.
You know, all the way around.
I love
Right.
the way you finish the food drive cabinets.
Exactly.
Okay,
Then we can drop.
so we need everybody's help as much as possible. First of all, I mean, just really talk it up with your kids, encourage them to be involved, and get excited as much as possible. Anybody and everybody that can come in the mornings and before school, we'll probably try to start around 7:45-ish, and it's just gonna be a fun environment that we'll have music playing. I mean, just lots of student involvement would be awesome. Also, if you can help us in the mornings, I'm gonna send around a sign-up sheet. That would be really great. We need people to man the donation tables as the kids bring money or food or whatever to help us get the prizes to them and get them signed up for the tribute raffle every day. We're also hoping for one of the prizes for the tributes one day to be $10 iTunes gift cards. So if you have some, or if you can donate 1 or 2, that would be great. You can just send them, I guess, to the office, and we'll get them. And then, of course, just send money for food drive that week. So
Well, $1 equals 6 pounds this year, so.
I think the goal is last year I think we did 46 pounds of food per kid, which works out this year per kid. So.
Any questions for Mary or Laura? Paula, what's going on with teacher appreciation?
Another staff meeting next week, and then we're getting ready, planning the lunch and then whatnot for May. So we can make, that's it.
Hard to believe. Let's go about that. Dances. Jerry, tell us what's going on.
Well, what's going on is that there was a meeting in February, I wasn't here, and had to do with people not being here for, well, some questions came about the affordability of the dance, and so somehow it was decided it would be $1. I don't know how that happened, but that's not enough to cover the expenses, between, it's not even the decorations or anything, between the DJ and the police, or the resource officer, and then we also get the janitors gift cards for the cleanup. So, I think we can do it at $2, so it's down to $2. And then there was also quite, people didn't like the gift cards. Last time we did the gift cards, we did it during announcements, Mr. Rand, didn't you? And how did that work?
I I did a video, yeah, I drew, like I made the video that night after the dance, I was like, I'm just gonna do this now, get it over with. And so I made a video and drew the names out of the bowl, so all the kids' names, they were in this plastic thing, and, I mean, they came down that next day and they picked
Did
up
they
their.
like it?
Yeah,
I mean,
they seemed like
enjoy
it.
Because what the idea was with that was to try and get more kids to stand. It was 350-ish, I think, which isn't bad.
That was, yeah, whatever stuff was left, plus whatever gift cards,
We had I had those feedback here for the photo booth and then, the gift cards, and it was just to get the kids excited.
yeah, it was, yeah, it
And
was
so I
good.
think if anybody wants to donate some gift cards again, that would be great. I know there is gift cards that I do have leftover gift cards that I got late, but, you know, if you want to, you can put them in the desk and, you know, there, if you don't, then, yeah, I'll do the numbers and see if we have enough money to buy a few. But it just gets kids excited, especially the next day when they get their name on the announcements and stuff. So I'm gonna try and go ahead and do that again. And the last thing is we need, I didn't know that I was supposed to have a parent in the photo booth and everything got trashed or taken home or something. So we need photo booth items. If anybody has some stuff, leave them at the desk or, just give me a call or drop them at my house or something. You know, just some crazy stuff they like to wear. We do have some, but, didn't realize that kids were that, I have 3 boys, but it was a mess. So anyway, if anybody has any items they want to get rid of, kids stuff they just can't stand anymore, then go ahead and bring it. Drop it down, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, since it's a Mardi Gras thing.
It is, yeah, well, yeah, anything, it doesn't, actually have to be more. The reason I did that was because of, friends' church was having a dance, and that's why I got a bunch of decorations. So I do have, like, they're just some plain masks for kids, and a bunch of beads donated, so.
I got like a lot of costumes.
Yeah, that'd be
like
great.
10 costumes, with, like all their hats and.
Right, and I can even come and pick them up if you want, just give me a text, my number's on that one. Okay. And I think that's,
What is it again? April 21st?
April 29th, Friday, will be the last day of the food, I guess. And it's 7 to 10 again, it's at the high school. Okay, here's an idea. If it's the last day of the food drive, right, and it's the dance, why can't you tie ribbons? How about if you don't have the $2? I'm not gonna take care of that. Somebody over there wants to take care of it, that's fine, but I am not gonna deal with more than I have to deal with. I mean, I hear what you're saying, that's a great idea. But it's a lot of work. The $2, I don't know, I think Lisa is getting. It's technically still during the week.
It's
Right,
during the
that's
week,
the
it's not
question.
during the school day.
It's not during the
but-
school day, and
Oh, I forget,
like before midnight, I don't know,
Yeah.
I am not
I
taking
know.
care of it.
You start getting trophies involved and it gets crazy.
You know, I'm okay, because I want to take care of that party, I mean, the Friday night. I mean, so I'm okay with whatever y'all wanna do, but I'm not taking care
We'll
of
think
that.
it, I'm gonna put a note down so we can see about if there's a way we can tie it in.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, just have a box on the side and just bring in
Right,
however much food you
they'll
can
have,
say.
we'll probably have enough volunteers at the front, and Reese's taking care of that, Reese here, and so if anybody wants to talk about with her, and she's getting a list of the kids who need the little help, and so they'll be able to get in without anything. Once we get their names, everybody in the front knows, they've already paid. So,
But do you
but
need the
I'm
$2
happy if you
to
did.
I was gonna say, don't you need the money to
Do you
cover
need
the
the money to
cost?
cover the cost?
Well, there is some money that was made on the dance last time, so you can use that too. The dance will cover the cost of the stuff I just said, but the other money will be, I only bought it, like, it'll be less than $200.
What if we have a raffle?
I was about to say, what if it
something-
gave you a
So like,
ticket?
yeah, it says ticket or something for some kind of prize drawn at the dance. You don't
Right.
have to be at the dance to win the prize, but they would have already given us the money.
Well, you see, you can do that, but you have to be at the dance, but you better do announcements, because it's just crazy. And it's chaos.
Did you find something, Paul?
Yeah, in the rules, the official, whatever it says, food and monetary donations may only be collected during the designated week.
That's
Till
Saturday.
midnight.
It's Saturday.
10 p.m. Friday is the week.
I mean, if that's coming in, still, whoever it is, you write down what team it is. It's a school event. I mean, it's.
What if the tributes, why not take it to me?
Well, the parents cross that bridge when we get there. And if you don't want to put it to where it's counting towards, bring the food or the money, I mean, you can just tell them, just bring the food as well. And it still counts towards.
What if the tributes, instead of spending money on gift cards, got a ticket to the dance and then they had something special on stage?
It'd be kind of like, whenever you're at a minor league event, and you got the lazy boys, you get to go sit in the lazy boys every time.
Get the special
You,
chair.
you get the special chair for 30 minutes or something? Yeah, why not?
Or you get to pick some songs.
Or you get your song.
Yeah.
As long as it's school safe.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys can arrange something like that, I'm okay with it. There might be an issue. There is some money left over, depending on how many people get in, food, obviously.
Well, we'll think about it.
Yeah.
Heavy food.
Yeah.
Peanut butter,
I mean,
please.
I'm okay with it, I think $1 might not cut it, $2 bill, but it depends on.
You can always do $3 to get or $2.
Good. I mean, I'm okay with it, and I think Bruce is gonna contact whoever it is that does that.
$3 or $2 and bring a can of food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
That's not good.
okay. I mean, I'm happy to do that. We should have the crates and stuff there by the door.
Or could you do it for like if they bought 3 cans in that day, they would, or 2, almost like prepay on Friday. They get a sticker on there, they have to have their ID, right? For the dance.
Yes. Kids have stickers all over
Yeah, they want to.
But you can still give them a ticket to something to get it.
Yeah, something to get it.
Probably
Yeah.
on the front too, so it had to be some kind of sticker there. People are first coming to be pretty proud of that. So, I mean, prepaying, you have an idea, prepaying the cost to get in would cut down on that front door. I mean, that door gets jammed. Well, then they're still going to
Yeah.
check our buttons.
If they still have to check in early, like, how do you pay extra to get on the plane
The
early or
VIP
something like that?
entrance.
Yeah, like the VIP
Oh.
entrance, and you get it for $5.
Then they're gonna stand there and look at each other because they're the only ones here.
I can get a VIP lane.
Yeah.
The only problem with prepaying is it's gonna be hard to get the money separate.
Yeah.
I need to decide what's because,
Right.
I think
It's a good idea.
Because to the dance cost.
Yeah, they prepay.
Well, I can do the $3. There's still gonna have to be someone there to get the food.
Sure.
And take it.
Or they can just donate, say $5 and they. I'm just saying that $3 of the dollars.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, I'll go in my truck and if we collect a bunch of canned food, I can just put it in the truck and figure out how much it is, what I do with it.
Right.
So,
I'm okay with whatever, it has to be fairly simple and.
yeah, as far as the food piece, I'm just boxes or something, you just put it in. That piece is not the, that would be.
Great idea. Good collaborating, everybody. Okay, Sue, when is the next newsletter going out?
We have room for one more. We have the s'mores thing, so we could do it end of, or mid-May. The last one went out at the beginning of April, and we have not a whole lot of hits, about 250. So I don't know what we could do to, reach more parents. With it.
What if you send it out to the 6th grade parents?
That would be great.
Good idea. So we have to coordinate that with Oakwood.
Yeah, well, we just email Mr. Simak and ask him to send it out. That's easy.
soon before we move on. Okay, thank you committees. I know everyone has worked so hard this year. I'm just floored at how fast the year has gone by, and you've all done a great job from cat slam stuff at the beginning of the year to all this food drive, end of the year, winter appreciation throughout the year. Everyone's just book fair. Everyone's just done such a wonderful job. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to ask Allison to come up, and you will turn to your budget, which is this page.
So, if you'll just take a look at that, basically our budget is broken down into two big sections, revenue and disbursements. And so, everything, stayed fairly the same. We actually just went through item by item and decided what compared the last couple of years to this year. And so, the one thing that we did increase, so basically, what, there's operating expenses that we have to have, and then there's the extra stuff. And so, we want to make sure that we cover what we need for our operating expenses. We raised the t-shirts. Cat Slam's going away. So t-shirts sponsorship is just going to be businesses and then student donations. We don't really know what that is going to quite look like, but in terms of any revenue coming in from the student donation aspect of Cat Slam, that's not going to be there. So we're going to make it a goal to have $15,000 raised through business donations as well as AMCMS families for t-shirts, which between that and game day parking, which last year we had budgeted $10,000. This year we're budgeting $15,000 to be collected, which there's 7 home games. And obviously we can't control the weather nor Pee-wee football and all those things that we've discussed all year, but we think that that's doable. Hat Day is going to go away. Spirit Nights, which we're going to try to do one more Spirit Night. I just talked to Lisa Sledge this morning. The week of May, not 10th, because that's still STAR testing. So the following week, the 16th, and she's not quite sure. She's leaning towards Lane's. Going to ask Mike Garrett if he'll do it, because they kind of just do same thing. Just you don't have to turn in a receipt, that kind of stuff. So we'll let you know about that.
Doesn't he do all locations?
Yes, I think so. Kind of like Jana did. Well, actually, Jana just did one anyways, but yes. Box tops. So we kind of figured we needed to reduce some of those things by a little bit, like Spirit Nights went from 700 to 500, box tops from 1,000 to 750, Kroger fundraising from 300 to 200, teacher appreciation donations, we left that at 400, the fall dance and the money in, money out. And then one thing we added back in since Cat Slam is going away is sort of a spring fundraiser. So there you have the total revenue of $44,850. And then your disbursements, those top ones are basically just, the things that we have to do to function as a PTO, with the exception of the wish list and campus improvements, which for the most part this year has included iPads, the mini iPads that we bought. And then below that, you'll see our programs. The one thing you should know is cats, helping cats. Last year, there was $200 budgeted for that program. And I think this is the challenging part of the budget at AMCMS right now, is you'll see like all these external fundraising things that we used to count on, Kroger or Spirit Nights or Hat Days, are just not generating the revenue that they have been. And so, but then we have 40 families that need toilet paper for Christmas. So what are we gonna do, to make that happen? And so our proposal is to go ahead and put that into the budget. And it would be awesome if we could start, asking for donations. I mean, there's a handful of families that pretty much underwrite, Cats Helping Cats. And, the reality is they're the same families that are doing spring fundraiser and sponsoring t-shirts and those kinds of things. So I think we need to be realistic about, those kinds of things. We put in money for teacher and student grants. We'd like to bring those of you coming from Pebble Creek or College Hills, we've done that in the past too, where teachers can also apply for grants. Very similar to the Education Foundation, except probably not as big as what they might apply to the Education Foundation. And then the game day parking right now is basically 25% of every game. So game day parking we have set to raise $15,000, but we're going to turn around and give out $3,750 of that to the clubs that help us work those games. And then, we put into the budget the 8th grade end of year and purposely left off the word field trip or field day or whatever in order not to set a precedent for going forward. And so we have 8th grade built in and 7th grade built in. And then the last thing that we increased the amount on was teacher appreciation. That was $2,000 and it went up to $2,500. So we've typically started the year, the last couple of years, with about $13,000 of starting cash. We feel like we can start with a little bit less money. So I think Kara's going to talk about that in just a second. And right now it works out if all of our revenue works with these disbursements. So
Scholarship, don't we give 2 scholarships?
The school gives one.
The school.
But, registration,
jumped
it down to 50.
yeah, and you know why? Because the last 2 years,
We spent 100, right at 100 last year. And we buy it, like I'll buy it in May,
okay,
yes.
yeah, I mean, I showed that on,
And it's really, I think we just buy the paper for everybody to make their
Well,
copies
yeah.
on.
okay,
And I don't know if $50 will cut that.
so you think that
Yeah.
would be
And she
100?
spent 100 last
You
year.
spent 94,
94,
actually, 94.40.
like
So that's probably
150,
a little
probably
bit
too much.
shy. Okay,
But
you know what, I wonder if I don't know, I did put down the 50, but maybe I was supposed to say down 50 instead of down
it's down
250.
to 50.
Okay, so that needs to be
I don't
back
think we
up.
can file that paper.
Okay. Okay.
And Hat Day is not going away, we've just opted not to have a specific committee. So for example, if we want to have a Hat Day associated with the food drive people would help coordinate that, and we can get PTO volunteers to help. But when we had Hat Day this year, how many did we have we had less than $100 for Hat Days that were non-specific. We did the one for Cats Helping Cats, and we'll do the one for the food drive. Those I'm sure will be huge successes, but the general one did $46, so that's the reason that's just going away. It's a lot of time and effort for no money coming in. And with, we really need to focus on our fundraising, and it's better to have people on the board doing other things other than $46 half day. Any other questions, comments? How do y'all feel about the game day parking?
Is it possible to get someone from Oakwood that worked it last year that will be coming?
You're trying. Unfortunately, Jody won't be here for another. We're working on it.
Someone that knows the routine, somebody that knows,
Yes.
because remember in our competition.
Do you know those dates yet?
We won't know them until maybe July, August.
And then the other thing to consider that we have not talked about yet is right now we're sitting on about 33,000 in the bank, which gives us money right now. We're going to vote in a few minutes to purchase an additional 40 iPad minis. may look like the wish list is low, but know that we're making a pretty substantial purchase now at the end of the year that will go towards next year. I kind of looked at that myself going, wish list looks kind of low. The other way to look at that is we're doing other things like the grants and the students. We're kind of taking that money and dispersing it more explicitly on the budget. The teacher grant program and the game day parking to the student groups. Any other questions? Are y'all ready to vote today? You need more time? Any discussion? Y'all are quiet today. Okay, would someone like to make a motion to approve our 2016-2017 proposed budget with the amendment to increase registration to $100? Jen? Make a motion. Do I have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. We did an email vote for our end of year trip for 8th grade, and that passed. So we are sending, in case you have not heard, we are sending the kids to Camp Allen this year instead of Lantern Creek. Mr. Mann pulled some kids, teachers, and Camp Allen is willing to work with us. We are doing lunch there instead of trying to take the stuff over and try to cook here and do all that. So we are going to be asking the kids to send in a $5 donation to help cover some of that cost. Mr. Mann, did you have anything to say about the Camp Allen trip?
No, I mean, I think it's gonna be good. The only variable is the weather cooperating. That's the biggest concern at this point. But it'll be different, because the 7th grade last year went, and so we were looking at, they've been to Lantern Creek. Camp Allen has different activities from Lantern Creek. And so we thought if we're gonna do this, let's have a new experience for the kids. And I think what we need to start thinking about is doing some kind of a trip earlier, because we did have, working through the scheduling, we're able to secure the buses, but it's just a lot, like Adamson's Lagoon's like totally not available. And it was funny whenever my secretary was talking with the lady at the city, she goes, well, if y'all just come the week prior, it's open all week. And she said, well, that's because they're start testing. no one's going anywhere the week prior. And so, I mean, those are the, that's the reality that we're in. And so if we take a standpoint of doing this, leading up to spring break or coming back from spring break, having an 8th grade kind of a trip, I think that way we don't have into the conflict of where we are trying to put something together that's fun and have a transportation availability and everything else, because the whole district is trying to do the same thing. And plus the camp availability, because now it's not, it's Brian trying to do the same thing. Everyone's trying to get the same resources because no one wants to go before start.
I will say too, if depending on, obviously if we schedule it, or like
Right.
schedule it more in advance, even if it's later in the year, it's always easier to do that. But I did call the rec center, and starting in September, you can schedule out, but it does have to be once the students are out. But they're very affordable. It's like $500 or $600 an hour for the number of students we would have.
Okay, good.
So you're gonna have $3,000, whatever. So just, you can keep that in the back of your mind.
Sure.
If we wanted to try to.
at the end of May.
Right, but if you schedule it now, I mean, probably the biggest issue is the whole scheduling thing, but it also it was a problem because we waited kind of so late in the game. And now that you've had a year under your belt, you kind of know what you're coming into. That's something that could be figured, yeah, like you can, starting September, they'll be done in July. And she said, starting September, you could schedule for May. So you can just keep that in your back pocket as a possibility, unless you want to stick with the camp idea, which is great.
I prefer to drive 2 miles versus.
Yeah.
Right, and it's indoors.
And it's
Yeah.
indoors, so you're not
Yeah.
going to
Same activities and it's indoors.
Weather's not as big of an issue. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, we are at the point. We're at the point to vote on purchasing some more iPad minis before the end of the year. As Allison stated, we have about $33,000 left in the bank. And considering everything that we need to spend, including the 8th grade trip, we have more than enough funds to purchase the iPads, but then leaving a starting cash balance if someone would like to make a motion, if there's no discussion, we can vote and approve that purchase. Rosie, second? I'll second. Deanna? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we are still, nominating committee is working on next year's slate. We will be sending that out to you via email, and then we are going to be doing a school-wide, according to the bylaws. The voting is open to the whole school, so if you're on the PTO board, you'll get the email and you can reply back to that. And then the voting will be in the office for any parent who wants to vote on that. We'll tabulate those results in time to have the new members here at the main meeting. So if you are vacating your position, start trying to think from now about putting together a binder and any good notes that you can leave your contacts. Scholarship committee has received all the applications and those are due on the 22nd citywide. What we've done with our feeder pattern this year is we have collaborating with all the schools that are in our feeder pattern, and we're asking for a top 4 on our scholarships so that the same top 2 hopefully are not getting the scholarships from all the schools. That way we can spread the scholarships out a little more and reach more kids with those $2 $500 scholarships. Freshman orientation, this came around, I know it's very far in advance, but Lisa's already looking for help at the high school for August 10th, if you were going to have a freshman. Kelly, do you have anything about high school PTO to add?
We're still working on, we'll talk to you in a few minutes. That's it. We're still working there, so if you still are interested, let me know.
Okay, anything else before we adjourn? Okay, thank you so much for your time today, and have a great rest